Have you ever walked into a room and felt invisible? Or shared a thought, only for it to be brushed aside like a leaf in the wind? If so, you're not alone. It's one of the hardest parts of growing older. Not the gray hair or the slower steps, but the way the world can sometimes act like your value has somehow diminished with time. But here's the truth. After 60, you still matter. In fact, you may matter more than ever. And today, we're going to explore exactly how to reconnect with that deep sense of being needed, respected, and truly valued, not just by others, but by yourself. You see, in your younger years, your value was often tied to your productivity, your job, your parenting, your responsibilities. But once those roles shift, it's easy to wonder, what now? That's when the doubt can creep in. But here's something powerful to remember. Your worth isn't based on what you do. It's rooted in who you are. And who you are is someone with wisdom, life experience, resilience, and stories that can light the way for others. Let's start with one of the most immediate ways to feel needed again. Showing up for someone else in small, everyday ways. A neighbor who's lonely. A friend going through a rough patch. Even a young person in your family who just needs someone to listen without judgment. You don't have to rescue anyone. Just being a consistent, kind presence is often more impactful than we realize. I know a woman named Clara who felt lost after retiring. Her calendar went from packed to empty. One day, she overheard a young mom in her apartment building saying she couldn't find childcare. Clara offered to read to the little girl for an hour a few days a week. That one small act not only helped the mom, but gave Clara a new sense of purpose. It reminded her that she still had something valuable to give. And she did. If you've ever questioned whether your presence really matters, consider this. Studies in positive psychology show that acts of kindness, no matter how small, not only boost the receiver's well-being, but significantly increase the giver's sense of self-worth. That's your brain's way of saying, yes, this matters. Keep going. Now, before we keep going, I'd love your help with something. If you're enjoying this video so far, comment Y below. If not, comment N. It helps me know what's working and what to improve. And don't forget to hit subscribe if you haven't yet. Now, let's dive deeper. Another important way to feel valued is by sharing your stories. We often underestimate how much power there is in telling someone what we've been through, what worked, what didn't, what we've learned along the way. Younger people especially are craving guidance right now. They're navigating a world with endless information but very little wisdom. And that's where your voice comes in. When you open up about a time you struggled, or a decision you regret, or even a lesson that took you years to understand, you're not just reminiscing, you're mentoring. You're anchoring someone who might be feeling just as lost as you once did. And in that moment, you become the lighthouse you never had. That is no small thing. And don't worry if you're not sure how to start. It can be as simple as saying, that reminds me of something I went through once. Or, I learned this the hard way. From there, you'll be surprised at how quickly people lean in to hear more. You have lived through decades of changes, challenges, and triumphs. Why let those lessons go to waste? There's something deeply human about being heard. And when someone really listens to your story, not out of politeness, but because it resonates, that's when you realize your life has value far beyond what you thought. Your story could be the exact encouragement someone else needs to keep going. In the next part, we'll talk about how respecting yourself can actually lead others to respect you more, and how finding new purpose doesn't have to mean reinventing your whole life. One of the most powerful shifts we can make after 60 is learning to respect ourselves again, even when the world seems to forget. And here's the thing, People take their cue from you. When you treat yourself like you matter, others notice. They start responding differently. It's not magic. It's self-respect in action. Respect isn't about being loud or demanding attention. It's about holding your space with quiet confidence. It's in the way you speak about yourself, the way you carry your experience, the way you stop apologizing for simply existing. I once met a man named Harold who said something that stuck with me. He said, "For years after retirement, I felt like I was taking up space, like I had to explain why I was still here, still contributing, still trying." But then he paused and added, "Eventually I realized I don't owe the world an explanation for staying alive and staying curious." That kind of mindset is a game changer. When you respect your own voice, your boundaries, your time, your needs, it signals to everyone else that they should too. And it becomes easier to say no to the things that drain you, and yes to the things that bring joy. Before we go further, I want to make one thing clear. This video is for informational purposes only and is based on publicly available research. Everyone's health is different, so always consult your doctor or a qualified healthcare provider before making any changes to your lifestyle, diet, or exercise routine. Scientific knowledge is always evolving, and what works for one person may not work for another. That said, the science behind purpose and well-being as we age is incredibly encouraging. A 2019 study in JAMA Network Open found that older adults who reported a strong sense of purpose lived longer and had better health outcomes. Purpose doesn't have to mean something grand. It can be found in the smallest moments of connection, creation, or curiosity. You might think, "But I don't have a purpose anymore." That's a common feeling, but here's a gentle reminder. Purpose can evolve. It can be writing letters to loved ones, planting a garden that feeds your soul, learning a new hobby, or simply showing up for yourself each morning with intention. One woman I spoke to recently started a little community art group in her town, not to sell anything, just to gather people who love to create. That simple step brought together folks who hadn't felt seen in years, and now they're thriving, laughing, creating, and they're reminded every week that they matter to each other. Feeling respected and valued also means keeping promises to yourself. Think about it. When you say you'll walk every morning or drink more water or call a friend and you follow through, it builds internal trust. You start to believe your own word again. That builds confidence. And confidence draws people in. And even on the days when you feel tired or disconnected, remember this. You've already made it through every challenge life has thrown your way. That alone makes you a source of strength for those around you. Sometimes, just showing up, being present, being yourself, is more than enough. In the next part, we'll talk about how to stay emotionally connected, how to embrace new roles in life with dignity, and how to end this chapter, not quietly, but with a sense of fullness, pride, and peace. Because you're not done yet. You still have so much to give. One of the most overlooked ways we continue to feel needed and valued after 60 is through emotional connection. Not just being around people, but truly being with them. Feeling seen, heard, understood, and offering that same gift in return. As we age, relationships change. Children grow up and build lives of their own. Friends may move or pass on. Roles shift. But emotional intimacy? That never gets old. In fact, it becomes even more precious. I once knew a woman named Carmen who lived alone after her husband passed. For a while, she felt invisible, like her phone never rang, and no one really needed her anymore. But then, almost by accident, she started leaving voice messages every morning for her granddaughter. A simple, "Good morning, I love you," with a few kind words. At first, it felt small, But over time, her granddaughter began replying, then calling, then visiting more. What Carmen didn't realize was that her quiet consistency became an anchor for someone else. She was still deeply needed. She just hadn't seen it yet. Sometimes, our greatest gift is simply showing up, listening without judgment, offering a story, a laugh, a piece of wisdom from a life well lived. These connections build bridges, not just for others, but for us too. And embracing new roles doesn't mean losing who you were. It means expanding who you are. Maybe you're no longer the full-time parent or the professional in the room, but now you're the mentor, the memory keeper, the storyteller, the wisdom sharer. These roles hold weight, even if society doesn't put them on magazine covers. In fact, science supports this too. Studies in gerontology show that older adults who mentor or support others, whether through family, volunteering, or social circles, report higher life satisfaction and lower levels of depression. You don't need to fix anyone's life. Sometimes your presence is the most healing thing of all. It's okay to grieve what you've lost, but don't forget to honor what you've gained. You've earned your insight, your calm, your ability to see through noise and focus on what matters. That's valuable. That's rare. And you still carry the power to influence, to comfort, to teach, even if your audience is smaller or quieter than before. There's a quiet kind of pride that comes from living well. It's not flashy. It doesn't scream for attention. It just is. And when you walk through your day with that grounded sense of worth, people feel it, even if they don't say it out loud. So take up space. Speak your truth gently but firmly. Surround yourself with those who see you and lift you. Say yes to what lights you up. Say no to what dims your shine. You still matter, not because of what you do, but because of who you are. We'd really love to hear from you. If you have any suggestions for future topics or questions you want answered, write to us in the comments below. We're here to help, and your input could inspire our next video. And if you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss out on more practical tips for healthy aging. Here's to living your best life at any age.